Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone,
Hi, this is the Schmidt and Neeser show.
where we take notes from the computer.
Woohoo!
Okay, so today we're going to talk about scientific notation, and we're going to do positive and negative exponents today. So I know we just talked about, we did our vocab sheets,
Yep.
and we know the definition of scientific notation, but let's write it a little bit simpler.
Okay. So how about a shorter way of writing large or small numbers?
Works for me.
Cool. Nice handwriting.
Thanks. I hope everyone writes neater than me. You all should, because you're not writing on a computer. You're writing on your papers.
Yep.
Okay, so one thing to know about scientific notation is we can either have a number in scientific notation or we can have it in standard form.
Okay.
So standard form is just like a normal number. So it can be either a whole number.
Okay. Like 2 or
Oopsies. Oh, shoot. Okay, we're going to try that again.
Okay.
A whole number.
How about if you do the symbol? Okay, a whole number.
I could,
You
I
mean
guess.
like 2 or
Yeah.
62?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm. Or it could be a decimal.
Okay. So like 6.2?
Ooh, not quite, because that starts with a whole number.
Oh, so it has to be 0.62.
Yes.
Got
yes,
it. Got
yes. It. Perfect.
Okay.
And then scientific notation. Now this one, the definition's a little confusing, but once you see an example, you'll be like, oh, duh.
Okay.
So
How should we write that then?
okay, so first scientific notation starts with a decimal,
Okay.
but there's something special about that decimal.
Okay. Does it have to be between 1 and 10?
Yes.
Okay. Thought so.
Okay, so it's between 1 and 10, and then it's multiplied by a power of 10,
Oh, all right.
which that's the confusing part.
Okay. I'm going to need some practice after this.
Well, it's a great thing that we have some.
Cool.
Okay, that word says power if you can't read it. There we go, I fixed it.
Okay.
Okay, so at this time, if you need to take a second to finish writing all of this down, make sure you do so. You can pause the video, get all your stuff written down, ask any questions if you need to, and then you can go ahead and move on.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to practice, I lost my pen, identifying which numbers are written in standard form and which ones are in scientific notation.
Okay, cool. I need a lot of practice on this.
Okay, so we're going to circle the numbers that are in standard form, and we're going to square the ones that are in scientific notation.
Okay. I've got this.
So if we remember, I'm going to scroll up a little bit so we can see our definitions here. Okay, so standard form is a whole number or a decimal. So
Okay.
if we take a look at 524, is that standard form or is that scientific notation?
Standard form.
Right, because it's a whole number.
Yep.
Okay, so that works.
Okay.
All right, now this one is 2.3 times 10 to the negative fourth.
Okay. I see that there's that 10 there, and that reminds me it's multiplied. So scientific notation.
Right. So when we say a power of 10, this is what we're talking about. We have this exponent here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's on a 10. So remember, power is another way to say exponent.
Yep.
Yep, and then the 10 comes in right here, and also multiplication sign in the middle.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
So that's how it works. So you guys are going to pause the video right now and continue and do the rest of these numbers. You either need to circle them if they're in standard form or square them if they're in scientific notation. Okay,
We're back.
so now we're going to go through the answers with you. So this one, number one.
Oh, standard form.
Yep, because it's a whole number. Oh my
Yep.
gosh, this is a big one.
Ooh, but I don't see the multiply by 10.
Me neither.
So it's going to be standard form.
Correct.
Okay.
Ooh, these ones got a little slammed together. That's
Oh, yep.
okay.
Yep. It is scientific notation.
Right, because it's being multiplied by 10 to the ninth.
Yep. Ooh, the next one squeezed in there. Standard form.
Yep, there was a decimal there. It kind of fell off, but that's okay.
Okay. Ooh, the next one is also standard form.
Right. So just because they're decimals doesn't mean they're scientific notation. They have to have that
Second
times
part.
by 10 to some power. Because remember, in standard form, they could still be a decimal.
Okay. Okay. Scientific notation.
Yep.
Sweet. Standard form.
Yep.
And scientific notation.
Yep.
Sweet.
Okay, so you should make sure that all of your numbers are circled and squared, just like Miss Neeser's numbers and mine.
Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about some steps now. So if we want to go from starting with a number in scientific notation, so something like this,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to turn it into standard form, so a whole number or decimal,
Okay.
these are the steps we take.
Okay. Can I ask real quick? Converting. What's another word for converting? Is it change?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we can say
Change.
changing.
From scientific notation to standard form.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, so if your exponent is positive, you're going to move the decimal to the right.
Okay. Could you do me a favor?
Mhm.
Could you draw an arrow pointing to the right? Because sometimes I get
Yeah.
confused.
I'll draw it underneath here.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so if it's positive, we're going to move our decimal to the right.
Okay.
Okay, if it's negative, we're going to move it to the left.
Sweet.
So I'm going to make this one go left. Oops, I kind of covered up the word negative. That's all right.
That's okay. Okay.
Okay, so that's the biggest thing we have to remember is which way to move our decimal. So
Okay.
positive, we move it to the right. Negative, we move it to the left.
All right.
We're talking about the exponent.
Okay.
Now, you move the decimal the same number of times as the exponent. Okay, so if your exponent was like 2,
Mm-hmm.
you'd move it 2 times.
Okay.
Or if it was like 7, you'd move it 7 times.
Okay.
But with negatives, like you can't move an exponent negative 5 times.
No. So then how do we do it?
You just move it 5 times.
Oh.
You just move it 5 times. The negative comes in with the direction. that we move it.
I got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I
And
hope
so-
we practice a little bit though.
Yeah. And then so at the end, you write your number again, and then you put in commas if you need to.
Okay.
But you won't always have to put in commas.
Okay.
Okay, so here's some examples for us to do.
Oh, all right.
So first thing we have to decide is if we're going to move our decimal left or right. So let's take a look at the exponent.
Ooh, I don't see a negative, so
Okay.
that must mean it is positive.
Yep, it's positive. And if we have a positive exponent, which way should we move it?
To the right.
To the right. So I'm just going to draw a little arrow over here. It reminds me I'm moving to the right.
Okay.
Okay, and since it's a 3, I'm going to move it 3 times to the right.
Okay.
So 1, whoopsies, 2, 3.
Awesome.
But I have that little open loop.
Oh, is that where we have to put the 0 in there?
Yeah, so if
Sweet.
you have any leftover loops with no numbers, you just put a 0 in.
Okay.
Wow, that was a bad 0. It's
That's
still
okay.
bad.
Okay.
So there's step 2. Now we just have to rewrite the number.
Okay.
So we've got 4170
Okay.
and put in our comma.
Great. Now, do we have to put in the decimal point?
Not if it's at the back.
Oh,
You don't have to if it's at the back. If it's somewhere in the problem, yeah, you
Okay.
have to leave your decimal.
okay.
But if it's at the back, no.
Nope, because that's our whole number.
Yep.
Sweet.
Okay, so let's go ahead and try this one over here. So
Ooh, I already know which way it's going to go.
you do?
Yep, because it's a negative.
Okay, so negative exponent over here means we're going to go
Left.
left.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, I
Oh,
shouldn't have
boy.
put that arrow there. I'm gonna change that really quick because we got to move the decimal that way.
Mhm.
So there's left.
Okay.
Okay, so we got to go 7 times.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, man.
That is a lot. Wow, why did that come up? Oh well,
Mhm.
that's a lot. So we got a lot of empty ones. So 0, 0. Whoa, 0, 0. What is happening, Miss
Well,
Neeser?
you better erase that. Wow.
We really zoomed it in there.
Oopsies.
Okay, let's try again. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay.
All
So
right.
this time we had to put the decimal in because it's way up there.
Okay.
Okay, so decimal, and we got looks like 6
6.
zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Okay.
and then we have the 6 and the 2.
Cool. And that's it.
That's it.
Sweet.
Yep.
Okay.